The smell of burning flesh. That's what I remember most. Not the sound of my own screams. Not the sight of flames eating my clothes. Not even the betrayal in my aunt's cold eyes as she locked the door and walked away. It's the smell. My name is Chinaza Adaeze Okafor. When I was 11 years old, my own aunt, my mother's sister, locked me in a kerosene-soaked bathroom and set it on fire. All for insurance money. 5 million naira. That was the price she put on my life. She thought the flames would turn me to ash, leaving nothing but a charred body for the police to find. She thought she would collect her blood money and disappear. She was wrong. I survived. I fought. I clawed my way out of that burning room when death had already begun to embrace me. This is how it all began. Chinasa, come and take this hot water to the bathroom. I jumped up from where I was reading my school book. It was my Aunty Ngozi's voice. She always shouted my name like that. 2 times, never once, never 3 times. Just Chinaza, Chinaza, like my name was something bitter in her mouth. I'm coming, Auntie, I called back, closing my book carefully. I was only 11 years old then, but I already knew that making Aunty Ngozi wait was asking for trouble. Our house was small, just 3 rooms in a busy compound in Lagos. After my parents died in the bus accident last year, Aunty Ngozi, my mother's only sister, took me in. Not because she wanted to, but because nobody else would. That child is your blood, our neighbors would say to her. You cannot throw her away like trash. So she took me in, but made sure I knew every day what a burden I was. I hurried to the kitchen where Aunty Ngozi stood by the kerosene stove, stirring a pot of egusi soup. The rich smell filled the small room, making my empty stomach growl. I hadn't eaten since morning, just a small piece of bread before school. What took you so long? She snapped, pointing to a big bucket of steaming water. Take this to the bathroom. I want to bathe, and don't spill a single drop, or you will sleep without food tonight. I carefully lifted the heavy bucket with both hands. The heat burned against my skin, but I bit my lip and said nothing. The bathroom was outside, behind our building, and I had to walk slowly to avoid spilling the hot water. As I passed the small table where Auntie kept her important papers, something caught my eye. A document with my name on it. Chinaza Adaeze Okafor. I couldn't read all the words, but I saw insurance in big letters. Why are you standing there like a statue? Aunty Ngozi's voice made me jump. Get moving. That night, as I lay on my thin mattress on the floor of our sitting room, I heard Aunty Ngozi talking on the phone. She spoke in whispers, but in our small house, whispers travel like shouts. Yes, everything is ready. The policy is for 5 million naira. No, nobody will suspect anything. She has no other relatives. The money will come directly to me. I just need to be patient for a little longer. I didn't understand what she was talking about, but something in her voice scared me. It reminded me of the way the hungry dogs at the market looked at the meat seller's table, desperate and dangerous. The next morning, Aunty Ngozi was different. She smiled at me over breakfast, a real smile that showed her teeth. She even gave me an extra piece of bread with butter. Chinaza, she said, her voice sweet like honey. Today we are going to celebrate. Celebrate what, Auntie? I asked, surprised. Your birthday, of course. But it wasn't my birthday. My birthday was still 3 months away. Before I could say anything, Aunty Ngozi continued. I've been too hard on you, Chinaza. You lost your parents, and instead of comforting you, I've been making your life difficult. Today is a new beginning. I'm going to make you your favorite meal tonight, jollof rice with chicken, and we'll have ice cream too. I couldn't believe my ears. For the first time since coming to live with Aunty Ngozi, I felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe she was finally starting to love me. That whole day, Aunty Ngozi was like a different person. She spoke softly, didn't shout once, and even helped me with my homework. When evening came, the smell of jollof rice filled our small house, making my mouth water. Go and shower, Chinaza, Aunty Ngozi said, stirring the pot of rice. I've put clean water in the bathroom for you. When you finish, we'll eat. I skipped to the bathroom, my heart lighter than it had been in months. The bathroom was a small concrete room behind our house with a zinc roof and no windows. As I opened the door, a strange smell hit my nose, sharp and familiar. Kerosene. The floor was wet with it, and the walls too. Before I could turn around, I heard the bathroom door slam shut behind me. The lock clicked. "Auntie?" I called, confused. "The bathroom smells like kerosene." Through the door I heard Aunty Ngozi's voice, no longer sweet but cold as ice. "You've been a burden to me, Chinaza, just like your mother was, always taking what should have been mine." My heart began to race. "Auntie, please open the door, I'm scared." "Your mother always got everything, the beauty, the good husband, the nice life. And what did I get? Nothing. Then she dies and leaves me with her child to feed. But now I've found a way to get what I deserve." I heard a match strike. My blood turned to ice. "The insurance man was very understanding," Aunty Ngozi continued. 5 million naira for a child's life policy. All I need is for you to have a tragic accident. Poor Chinaza, caught in a terrible bathroom fire. Such a sad story." "Auntie, please," I screamed, banging on the door. "I'm your sister's child. Don't do this." "Goodbye, Chinaza. Your death will give me the life I deserve." I saw the flame first, a small orange light under the door. Then, whoosh! The kerosene caught fire and suddenly flames were everywhere, racing across the floor, climbing up the walls, reaching for me like hungry hands. The heat was unbearable. I screamed until my throat felt raw, but no one came. Our neighbors were too far to hear, and the music from the compound next door was too loud. My dress caught fire. Pain like I had never felt before engulfed my legs. I rolled on the ground, trying to put out the flames, but the whole floor was burning. "Help me," I cried, though I knew no help would come. "Please, somebody help me." In desperation, I looked up. The bathroom had no windows but the zinc roof. It was old and rusty in places. If I could just reach it. Summoning all my strength, I climbed onto the small bucket in the corner, ignoring the pain as flames licked at my skin. I pushed against the weakest part of the roof with all my might. The rusty zinc gave way with a screech. Fresh air rushed in, feeding the flames but giving me hope. With one final push, I made a hole big enough for my small body. I pulled myself up, my burned hands screaming in pain, and crawled onto the roof. Below me, the bathroom was an inferno. I could see through the hole as everything inside turned to ash. That was supposed to be me. From the roof, I saw Aunty Ngozi walking away from our house, a small suitcase in her hand. She didn't look back once. With the last of my strength, I called out, "Help! Fire! Help me!" Our neighbor, Uncle Emeka, was the first to see me. His eyes widened in horror. "Ya Allah, child, what happened?" "My auntie," I whispered before darkness took me. "My auntie tried to kill me." As I fell unconscious, I didn't know if I would ever wake up again. But I did, and that was just the beginning of my story. I woke up to the sound of beeping machines and the smell of medicine. My whole body felt like it was still on fire. I tried to move, but even breathing hurt. "She's awake," a woman's voice called out. "Doctor, the girl is awake." A kind-faced man in a white coat appeared over me. "Hello, Chinaza. I'm Dr. Okonkwo. You're in the hospital. You've been asleep for almost 2 weeks." 2 weeks. It seemed impossible. The last thing I remembered was the fire, the pain, Aunty Ngozi walking away. "My auntie," I whispered, my throat raw and painful. "She locked me in." Dr. Okonkwo's face grew serious. "We know, child. The police are looking for her. Your neighbor, Mr. Emeka, told them everything. How he found you on the roof, how your aunt had disappeared." A middle-aged woman stepped forward. She had gentle eyes and wore a blue uniform. "Hello, Chinaza. My name is Officer Amina. When you're feeling better, I need to ask you some questions about what happened, but for now, just rest. Rest." I wanted to rest forever, to sleep and never wake up to the pain that consumed every inch of my body. "How bad?" I asked Dr. Okonkwo. "How bad are my burns?" His eyes filled with sadness. "You have 2nd and 3rd degree burns on 40% of your body, mostly on your legs and back. You'll need several surgeries and skin grafts." But you're alive, Chinaza. Many people wouldn't have survived what you went through. The next few months were the hardest of my life. The pain of the burns was unbearable. Every dressing change felt like being set on fire all over again. I screamed until my voice gave out, begging the nurses to stop, though I knew they were only trying to help me. At night, the nightmares came. I was back in that burning bathroom, flames climbing up my body, Aunty Ngozi's cold voice telling me goodbye. I would wake up screaming, soaked in sweat, the other children in the hospital ward staring at me with wide, frightened eyes. Officer Amina visited me often. She would bring me small gifts, a colorful pencil, a sweet, a storybook. One day she brought something else, news. "We found her, Chinaza," she said, sitting beside my bed. "Your Aunty Ngozi. She was trying to leave the country." My heart pounded in my chest. Did she get the money? The insurance money? Officer Amina shook her head. "Number insurance companies don't pay when it's murder. And besides, you survived." I looked down at my scarred hands. "What will happen to her?" "She'll go to prison for a very long time. But don't worry about that now. We need to focus on you, on finding you a home when you leave the hospital." A home. The word felt strange. I had no home, no family left. "I have nobody," I whispered, tears falling down my face. Officer Amina took my hand gently, careful of the burns that were still healing. "That's not true, Chinaza. Sometimes family isn't just the people who share your blood. Sometimes family is the people who open their hearts to you." I didn't understand what she meant then, but I would soon. As the weeks passed, my body slowly began to heal. The pain didn't go away, but it became more manageable. I started physical therapy, learning to walk again on my burned legs, to use my damaged hands. My therapist was a woman named Mrs. Adekunle. She was strict but kind, pushing me to try harder each day. "Come on, Chinaza. Just 5 more steps." "I can't," I would cry, the pain making my legs shake. "It hurts too much." "Yes, you can," she would insist. "The fire couldn't kill you. Don't let it defeat you now." Slowly, painfully, I grew stronger. I could walk to the end of the hospital corridor and back. I could hold a spoon again, feed myself. Small victories that felt enormous. One day, Officer Amina came to visit with a tall man and a plump, smiling woman. "Chinaza, I want you to meet some people. This is Mr. and Mrs. Olusegun." The woman approached my bed slowly, her eyes kind but sad as she looked at my scars. "Hello, Chinaza. We've heard so much about you." I looked at them suspiciously. "Who are you?" Mr. Olusegun stepped forward. "We work with children who have no families. Officer Amina told us about you, about your courage." "We were wondering," Mrs. Olusegun said gently, "if you would like to come and live with us when the hospital says you can leave. We have a small home for children like you, children who have survived difficult things." I stared at them, not knowing what to say. These strangers wanted to take me in? What if they were like Aunty Ngozi? What if they only pretended to be kind? "You don't have to decide now," Officer Amina said, seeing my fear. "Just think about it." That night, as I lay in my hospital bed, I thought about Aunty Ngozi. She was my blood, my mother's sister, yet she had tried to kill me for money. These strangers owed me nothing, yet they were offering me a home. Could I trust again? Could I believe that not everyone in the world wanted to hurt me? The next day, when Mr. and Mrs. Olusegun returned, I asked them, "Why do you want to help me?" "I'm nobody to you." Mrs. Olusegun sat beside my bed. "Because every child deserves love and safety, Chinaza. And because we believe you have a special strength inside you, a fire that couldn't be put out, even when someone tried to burn you alive." For the first time since the fire, I felt a tiny spark of hope. 3 months after I entered the hospital, Dr. Okonkwo told me I could leave. My burns were still healing, and I would need more surgeries in the future, but I was strong enough to go. "Where will I go?" I asked, suddenly afraid. "The Oluseguns are waiting for you," he said with a smile. "They've prepared a room just for you." The Oluseguns' home was nothing like I expected. It wasn't an orphanage with many beds in one room. It was a real house with a garden full of flowers and a small swing set. 5 other children lived there, each with their own story of pain and survival. There was Tunde, who had lost his parents to AIDS, Fatima, whose father had used her as a house slave, Emeka, abandoned as a baby, Zainab, rescued from a child trafficking ring, and little Kemi, who had been found wandering the streets, too traumatized to speak. "This is your family now," Mrs. Olusgun told me on my first night. "Not because of blood, but because of shared pain and shared healing." That night, when the nightmares came again and I woke up screaming, I wasn't alone. Mrs. Olusegun came running, holding me until the shaking stopped. "It's okay, Chinaza," she whispered. "You're safe now. No one can hurt you here." Slowly, day by day, I began to believe her. 1 year after the fire, Officer Amina came to the Olusegun's home with news that made my stomach turn to ice. "The trial is next month, Chinaza," she said gently. "Aunty Ngozi's trial. You'll need to testify, to tell the judge what happened that night." Fear gripped my heart. I have to see her again. I have to be in the same room with her. Mrs. Olusgun held my hand tightly. "You won't be alone, Chinaza. We'll all be there with you." The thought of facing Aunty Ngozi again made the nightmares return worse than ever. I would wake up drenched in sweat, the smell of kerosene filling my nose, though it was only a memory. "I can't do it," I told Mr. Olusgun one evening as he helped me with my homework. "I can't look at her face again." Mr. Olusgun closed my school book and looked at me seriously. "Chinaza, do you know why scars form on our bodies?" I shook my head. "Scars are proof that we've healed. They show that something tried to break us, but our bodies fought back, repaired the damage. Your scars," he touched my arm gently, "are proof of your strength. Facing your aunt in court will be another kind of scar, painful while it's happening, but proof of your healing afterward." I thought about his words all night. My scars, the tight, shiny skin on my legs and back, were ugly to look at. The other children at school sometimes stared or whispered, but Mr. Olusgun saw them differently, as badges of survival. The day of the trial came too quickly. Mrs. Olusgun helped me dress in a new blue dress that covered most of my scars. My hands still trembled as I tried to button it. "You look beautiful," she said, braiding my hair. "And so strong." The courthouse was big and intimidating, full of stern-faced adults in formal clothes. I clutched Mrs. Olusgun's hand as we walked inside, my legs feeling like jelly. And then I saw her. Aunty Ngozi sat at a table with a man in a suit, her lawyer. She looked thinner than I remembered, her once plump face now gaunt. When her eyes met mine, she quickly looked away. The judge, a serious woman with gray hair, called my name. "Chinaza Adayeze Okafor, please come forward." On shaking legs, I walked to the witness stand. The court clerk helped me swear to tell the truth. Then I sat down, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. The prosecutor, a kind-eyed man named Mr. Bakare, approached me. "Chinaza, can you tell the court what happened on the night of April 15th last year?" I took a deep breath and began my story. I told them everything. How Aunty Ngozi had been unusually kind that day. How she had locked me in the kerosene-soaked bathroom. How she had spoken of insurance money as she dropped the match. I described the pain of the flames, my desperate climb to the roof, seeing her walk away with her suitcase. Throughout my testimony, I couldn't look at Aunty Ngozi, but I could feel her eyes on me, burning hotter than any fire. When I finished, Mr. Bakare asked, "And why do you think your aunt did this to you, Chinaza?" "For money," I said simply. "The insurance money. She took out a policy on my life and then tried to kill me to collect it." Aunty Ngozi's lawyer jumped up. "Objection! Speculation!" "Sustained," the judge said. "The witness cannot know the defendant's motives." But everyone in that courtroom knew. The evidence was overwhelming. The insurance policy taken out just days before the fire, the kerosene purchased that same day, the one-way ticket to Ghana found in Aunty Ngozi's possession when she was arrested. When it was Aunty Ngozi's turn to speak, she told a different story. "It was an accident," she sobbed, tears streaming down her face. "The kerosene lamp fell over while Chinaza was bathing." I tried to open the door, but the flames were too strong. I ran to get help, but by then it was too late. I thought she was dead. I was so distraught that I decided to leave. I couldn't bear to stay in Lagos with such terrible memories. Her lies made me shake with anger. How could she sit there and pretend to care about me when she had watched me burn? The prosecutor showed the court evidence that there was no kerosene lamp in the bathroom, that the door had been locked from the outside, that Aunty Ngozi had withdrawn all her money from the bank the day before the fire. Finally, the judge spoke. This court has heard enough evidence to make its decision. Ngozi Okafor, please stand. Aunty Ngozi rose slowly, her face pale. This court finds you guilty of attempted murder, insurance fraud, and child endangerment. You deliberately set fire to your own niece, a child entrusted to your care after the death of her parents. This is one of the most heinous crimes this court has ever seen. The judge's face showed no emotion as she continued. I sentence you to 20 years in prison without possibility of early release. A gasp went through the courtroom. Aunty Ngozi's legs gave way, and she collapsed into her chair, wailing. As the guards led her away, she looked back at me one last time. Our eyes met across the courtroom. "Chinaza," she called out suddenly. "Forgive me. I was desperate. The money. I needed it so badly." The courtroom fell silent, waiting for my response. What could I say to the woman who had tried to burn me alive? I stood up straight, letting everyone see my scars, my strength. "I forgive you, Aunty Ngozi," I said, my voice clear and strong. "Not for you, but for me. Because I don't want to carry your hatred in my heart anymore. It's too heavy, and I have too far to go." Then I turned and walked out of the courtroom with the Olusigans, leaving behind the woman who had tried to end my life, but had only made me stronger. 7 years have passed since that day in court. I am 18 now, and my life is nothing like I would have imagined when I was that scared 11-year-old in a burning bathroom. After Aunty Ngozi went to prison, something unexpected happened. The police investigation discovered that my parents had left behind more than anyone knew. My father had owned a small piece of land outside Lagos and had some money in a bank account. All of it was supposed to be mine when I turned 18. Aunty Ngozi had known about this inheritance all along. That was why she had taken me in, not out of family duty, but to get control of my parents' assets. When that wasn't enough for her greed, she decided the insurance money would be even better. The court appointed Mr. Olusgun as my guardian until I turned 18. He made sure my inheritance was protected, investing the money wisely so it would grow. "This is your future, Chinaza," he told me. "Your parents wanted to take care of you even after they were gone. Don't waste their gift." I promised him I wouldn't. Living with the Olusigans changed me in ways I never expected. Mrs. Olusigan taught me to cook, to sew, to speak with confidence despite my scars. Mr. Olusigan pushed me to excel in school, to read widely, to think about my future. "You survived for a reason, Chinaza," he would say. "Find that reason." The other children became my brothers and sisters. Tunde taught me to play football, even with my scarred legs. Fatima showed me how to braid hair in beautiful patterns. Little Kimi, who eventually began to speak again, would crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, trusting me to keep her safe. The nightmares never completely went away, but they came less often. The smell of kerosene still made me panic, but I learned to control my breathing, to remind myself I was safe. In school, I worked harder than anyone. Education became my escape, my power. When some children stared at my scars or whispered behind their hands, I held my head high. "Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind," Mrs. Olusgun would tell me. Last year, I graduated as the top student in my class. My essay about surviving the fire won a national competition, earning me a scholarship to university. I chose to study law, to become someone who could protect other children from the kind of betrayal I had experienced. Today is my 18th birthday, the day I officially receive my inheritance. Mr. Olusgun took me to the bank, where the manager presented me with documents showing the full value of my parents' estate, now worth nearly 15 million naira thanks to Mr. Olusgun's careful management. "What will you do with it?" Mr. Olusgun asked as we left the bank. I smiled at him. the man who had become more of a father to me than I ever thought possible after losing my parents. First, I'm going to pay you and Mrs. Olusegun back for all you've done for me. He shook his head firmly. We didn't take you in for money, Chinaza. We took you in because you needed a family, and a family doesn't keep accounts. Tears filled my eyes. Then I'll use some of it to help other children like me. Children who have survived terrible things, but still have dreams. That evening, the Oluseguns threw a small party for my birthday. All my foster siblings were there, even Tunde, who now attended university in Abuja. Mrs. Olusegun baked my favorite cake, chocolate with orange frosting. Mr. Olusegun gave a speech that made everyone cry. 7 years ago, a young girl came to us covered in scars, inside and out. We watched her fight through pain most adults couldn't bear. We saw her face her worst nightmare in court, and now we see her standing on the threshold of adulthood, strong, compassionate, and wise beyond her years. Chinaza, you came to us as a victim. You leave us as a victor. As we ate cake and laughed together, I thought about how far I had come. The scars on my body had faded somewhat with time and multiple surgeries, but they would always be there. Maps of my journey from that burning bathroom to this moment of joy. Last week, I visited Aunty Ngozi in prison. It was the first time I had seen her since the trial. She has aged 20 years in 7. Her hair has turned completely gray. Her eyes, once cold and calculating, now look empty. When she saw me walk into the visiting room, she began to cry. Chinaza, is it really you? I sat across from her, calm and steady. It's me, Aunty Ngozi. You've grown so beautiful, she whispered, staring at me through the tears. Despite everything. I didn't come here to talk about the past, I told her. I came to tell you about my future. I'm going to university to study law. I'm going to help children who have been hurt by the people who should have protected them. She looked down at her hands. I don't deserve your forgiveness, Chinaza. This isn't about forgiveness, I said honestly. This is about me showing you that fire can destroy, but it can also purify. You tried to end my story, but you only wrote the first chapter. As I left the prison, a weight lifted from my shoulders that I hadn't even realized I was carrying. Aunty Ngozi no longer had power over me, not my future, not my happiness, not even my nightmares. Tonight, as the birthday celebration winds down and my foster siblings help clean up, Mrs. Olusegun pulls me aside. I have something for you, she says, handing me a small wrapped package. It belonged to your mother. The police found it in your old house after everything happened. With trembling hands, I unwrap the gift. Inside is a delicate gold locket. When I open it, I find a tiny photograph of my parents on their wedding day, smiling at each other with so much love. They would be so proud of you, Mrs. Olusegun whispers, so proud of the young woman you've become. I clasp the locket around my neck, feeling closer to my parents than I have in years. They couldn't protect me from the fire, but their love, and the love of the family I found afterward, helped me rise from the ashes. Tomorrow I will start my first day at university. I will walk onto campus with my scars showing, my head held high. Some people will stare, some will ask questions, and I will tell them my story. Not with shame, but with pride. Because this is the story of a girl who was meant to die in flames, but instead became a light for others. This is how I took back everything, not just my inheritance, but my life, my joy, my future. This is how I rose from the ashes, stronger than the fire that tried to consume me.